Hello everyone, welcome to part last of week one's screencasts. So we were talking about what IPTs tell us, what implicit personal theories tell us. And folks, it sounds like these theories, I just want to clarify, these theories tell us these things, but we wrote them, okay? These are things that you wrote implicitly over the course of your life. And so one of the things that's interesting about this is when you really start to notice the patterns in your life, when you start to notice relational and communicative reoccurrences, chances are there might be a theory there. Chances are there might be a theory. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Okay, Brandon, what are they based on? Remember, by the way, that this has to do with how we assess competence right now. How do we know if we're good at this? How do we know we're doing right? How do we know we're appropriate, effective, or ethical? How do we know that I'm treating my partner well? How do I know that my friend and I are getting along? You have theories around it. You have a way to measure it. So they're based on, first of all, the culture in which we're raised. Your theories that you write have voices from the larger group that tell you things about what it means to do and be in these things. So for example, the culture in which we're raised, you probably had some pop culture on some level growing up. Maybe not. I don't know. I know that some folks grow up with very little. Some people grow up with a lot. But the culture in which you're raised sort of shows you things about relationships. It shows you things about communication. It shows you things about gender and sex roles. It shows you things about, whether they're good or bad. It's what culture shows you this. Okay. So your culture impacts it. Your ethnic background. Your ethnic background. So there's the larger culture, and then your ethnic background can impact the types of theories that you are going to write. So if you are for example, two people born and raised in the United States, but one is born to an Italian family, sorry, if you're actually that, you'd be like, oh my God, why did you say Italian? I didn't mean to. It's Italian, okay? Born and raised in America, same city, okay? Same city even. You could live born and raised in Colorado, but if you're born to an Italian family versus, a Latinx family, your ethnic background can have a huge impact on the implicit personal theories that you have. Me, growing up in the panhandle of Texas and having a German background impacted my theories. It absolutely did. So your ethnic background can definitely impact that, your gender. And this can include, okay, your own perception and understanding of your gender, the ways that you choose to present gender. It can also be the ways that your perception of gender fits with the larger view of gender. Cultures communicate about gender, sometimes very overtly, sometimes not so much. Anymore, it's a big deal and a large part of our discourse, as it should be. So your gender impacts the theories that you write. Your social class, where you are at in the socioeconomic area, impacts it. If you grew up in a certain socioeconomic spot, it impacts the theories that you write. I have that very experience. I am still trying to rewrite some of my theories from growing up. There are certain places I feel comfortable, certain places I don't, and I'm still working on rewriting some of those. Okay, not that they are horribly important, but some of them are. And that the ones I'm trying to rewrite aren't that big of a deal. Yours may be. Okay, I can't say that social class is not important. It's extremely important. It impacts so much. So, by the way, take my intercultural class if you want to talk about socioeconomic status for a really long time. Okay? The region of the country in which you were raised. So in my example earlier, I said that in an Italian American, and I think I used Latinx, so we could do Latinx or German, born in Colorado, are going to have their own separate ethnic identity things going on, but that region of the country is still going to impact those two people, okay? Versus if you took those two people and placed them in Manhattan in New York City or, in Southern California. The cultures are going to be different in the region of the country, okay? It impacts how we communicate. Our unique individual experiences. You might have had your first, bad relational breakup at 12, and you just knew you were in love, and it ended, and all things after that. You've been impacted by that experience, and you wrote a theory based on that. Some of you, if you're like me, you didn't actually have a more serious romantic relationship until you were an older teenager, or maybe even a little bit older. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has their unique individual experiences, and these individual experiences greatly, drastically impact the theories that we write. Okay, so your implicit personal theories are your unconscious, taken for granted assumptions about communication and behavior. And you are constantly continuing to gather data about your theories. And what's interesting is that the older you get, the more susceptible you are to the confirmation bias, which we'll talk about when we get to perception. The more susceptible you are to the self-serving bias, the more susceptible you are to, once you have the theory written, to really only add information that confirms the theory that you've written. So sometimes the theories that we write from that first relationship or that second relationship don't serve us very well further down the line. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they serve us really well. Some of us grew up in tough homes. Some of you had very difficult situations. I've had students over my career who I cannot believe are in my class. I cannot believe it. And the things that they have been through blows my mind. And those experiences impact the theories they write. So, by the way, folks, it is impossible to sit and think about your implicit personal theories, come up with a comprehensive list, and then decide if they're all good or all bad. This is a process. This is something that when you start to think about your implicit personal theories, you'll start to realize what theories you've got. You'll start to kind of see your experience, see where you're from, see what's happened to you, see what choices you've made, and begin to sort of suss out one or two, usually bigger ones. Sometimes students are able to kind of see bigger ones before they see the minutia. Okay. But folks, these implicit personal theories are powerful, and you've got them, I've got them, and one of the cool things about studying communication is we get to talk about them. Okay, so when we're not consciously thinking about how we want to communicate, our behavior is based on our IPTs. Okay, and to carry it even further and clarify, this does not mean, by the way, that when you are consciously communicating, you're absolutely not using IPTs, okay? What it means, though, is that when you're consciously communicating, that's when you're more likely to be able to make a choice that is contrary to a theory that you have written. So, for example, me and my yelling, I had to consciously make that choice. If I were unconscious in that moment, I would have been yelling. And I didn't realize how scary I was when I yelled. To me, I'm just yelling, but you can't tell sitting down. I'm 6'4", and I weigh 200 and some odd pounds, and I just did not know how scary that could be. I didn't know how scary that could be, and so when I was trying to change that, it took conscious effort. Okay, now does that mean that every time I'm conscious, my IPTs are out the window? No. What it means is that it's still there, and when I'm conscious, I can make the choice, and I can look and I can see, oh, IPT, I see IPT here. What do I want to do with this? Okay, and folks, this is how we assess. This goes back to that opening question of IPTs. You have a standard to assess it by, okay, and it's your IPT. Your IPT gives you this standard that you don't think about having, but you have it, okay. And so no one had to tell you that some things would annoy you. They just did. No one had to tell you that, oh my gosh, you're not talking to me that way. Or nobody probably told you, let someone talk to you that way and stay anyway. Okay? Sometimes you write these theories and they're to our detriment. But when we're not consciously, we're definitely using them. When we're conscious, we can be more conscious of it and we can make the choice, okay? So our implicit personal theories, how often do you think we are consciously communicating? It is the minority, okay? It is not all the time. And then, is it possible to formulate theories that are inaccurate or dysfunctional? Dysfunctional might be the better word here. The answer is yes. Folks, you may have been given bad data. You may have grown up in an environment that was abusive. You may have grown up in an environment where it wasn't abusive, but nobody expressed anything ever. And so, you know, no emotion was shared. You might have grown up in an environment where, you know, there was manipulation present, and it worked. Or, you know, you may have grown up watching someone struggle with addiction. That can really impact the data that you're given. And so sometimes the data that you're given is not good data. Sometimes the stuff that you're seeing is bad and it shouldn't be done, but it seems like it's the thing because it's what's in front of you. I guarantee you, if you've watched a romantic comedy or love in a movie, you've gotten inaccurate information. I mean, it seems all neat and everything, but for the most part, it's just... I know there's been some really good stuff that's come out that's been more real, but for the most part, that's not a good measure to write our theories around. Okay? You know, no matter how expensive the tuxedo is, I look nothing like James Bond in a tux. I mean, really. I have no chance. If you write that theory, you're in for disappointment, right? So we can write inaccurate theories, and the point of this class, folks, is to choose to behave in ways different. Yes, we can consciously choose. Okay? Yes, we can. We need to begin to realize, hey, what's working and what's not. And sometimes, by the way, what's working is still dysfunctional. Some of us are functional in our dysfunction, and we need to figure out a way to step out of that. Okay? Can we consciously choose to behave in ways from those that are different? Yes. Do we always have to? No. Sometimes you've got a solid theory, and you need to rock that theory until you are done living on this world. Okay? Rock that theory if it's a good one, folks. Okay? Now be open to change it. Be open to change it. You know, and figure out that these are constantly evolving, of course. Okay? And so to communicate effectively, we have to examine these. It's hard to do, but we have to begin to take stock of our implicit personal theories. And that means making the implicit ones explicit. Not explicit like, you know, bad words or anything like that, but explicit, conscious. Okay? And integrating our personal theories with the knowledge you're going to learn in this class. You are going to get, and folks, by the way, I want to reiterate again, read the book. This textbook has so much good research in it. The stuff that you are reading in this textbook is research. People who have studied communication and relationships and can objectively tell you that these things work. There are some things in here we're talking about that right now we're in foundations and we're talking about stuff to get our foundation, but down the line we're going to get to conflict and we're going to understand, hey, these things exist and that if you change these things, it works. You know? So apply the knowledge. Don't just be like, now applying the knowledge sounds easy. Wait till you get there. It can be tough. Sometimes it's not fun. Okay? So folks, that's chapter 1 in a nutshell. You're like, nutshell? That's 4 screencasts. It's a nutshell. Read chapter 1 along with watching these screencasts. There's great information there. I hope that I've been okay in conveying this stuff with my yawns and everything like that. So I'll see you in the discussion boards this week. I look forward to engaging you there. And let's keep these IPTs in mind as we pull. This is another thread I want to pull through every single week. Okay? IPTs, definitions of interpersonal communication, etc. See you in the discussion boards.